Last week, I pitched you Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers trades. Now I recruit the Locked On Podcast Network hosts to see if those trades could actually be viable.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. You can follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Wherever you find podcasts, you will find Locked On Packers, the #1 Packers podcast on the internet, and the show for fans who know what happened. They want to know why and how. Today's episode brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is your #1 spot for odds, props, and gambling action this season. BetOnline, where the game starts. Today on the show, we're going to go over some trades. And I pitched fake trades last week. And just as a check, just to sort of see if these are realistic, and frankly, to see if these other teams actually believe these are fair trades, I recruited the help of the Locked On Podcast Network. That's the beauty of having the network, is I can go to Cody Roark in Denver and get the Locked On Broncos viewpoint of something. I can go to David Droegemeier, Locked On Chargers, and get his viewpoint on this stuff. And so that is exactly what I did. Let's start in Denver. Locked On Broncos host Cody Roark helps me figure out if these are viable trades for the Packers. And let's start with just the base trade. There is the Aaron Rodgers to Denver with 3 firsts and Jerry Jeudy. That is the package I pitched last week. It is the most likely package in these scenarios. What is the answer?
So on behalf of Sarah Bettinger and myself, Cody Roark, we are going to take a look at 2 offers that have been sent in to us. The first offer coming from the Green Bay Packers organization for the Denver Broncos. If Denver wants Aaron Rodgers, the first package includes 3 first-round picks and Denver Broncos wide receiver Jerry Jeudy. In return, the Broncos would receive Aaron Rodgers as their next quarterback. Now, for Broncos country, would this be a move that you'd make? On behalf of the Broncos organization and both Sarah Bettinger and myself, we will gladly accept this trade offer from the Green Bay Packers, and we would make this move in person, in real life, if in fact that were the case here. This would be a tremendous value here for the Broncos organization. Parting ways with 3 first-round picks. You could get 3 years of quarterback play from Aaron Rodgers, potentially longer, depending on how long he wanted to play, and you'd be giving up a young wide receiver. You do have Courtland Sutton, you do have Tim Patrick, you do have KJ Hamler, and you could also invest in maybe some of the later rounds to find another wide receiver, or free agency, you could sign somebody as well. This is a trade offer that the Denver Broncos will accept.
Okay, that works. We have a deal. Maybe I should have pushed for more, but this is, I think, a good place to be. That's a fair trade. So let's keep operating under those assumptions. They take that. Maybe I should have asked for more. But what about the prospect of getting both Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams, something that we have heard might be on the table, or at least Rodgers and Adams would want to team up if Rodgers were to leave? I don't know how realistic that is, from reporting. I'm sure Davante would love to go play with Aaron Rodgers again. Now, have they actually talked about teaming up? I don't know that we have a clear picture of that. I don't think Green Bay is under any obligation to make that happen, but it certainly could. So let's say Denver offers a Godfather package. 3 firsts, Jerry Jeudy, Patrick Surtain, and that high second that Denver has in this year's draft. What does Cody think of that one?
Now, for the Denver Broncos, this is a move that does not make sense for them, especially considering Patrick Surtain being included in this trade package. The Broncos organization, on behalf of myself speaking here, will not accept this trade offer to acquire Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers if, in fact, it means that the Broncos have to include Patrick Surtain. You have to have really good cornerbacks in the National Football League, and Patrick Surtain has emerged as one of the budding young superstars potentially in this league that can play the position for years to come as an all-around player. The Broncos would be very foolish to part ways with Patrick Surtain to be able to make this happen. Now, Denver, I think, on the other hand, would be interested in maybe a counter offer. We may include an additional second-round pick and third-round pick, and also a second-round pick and third-round pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. All those draft picks for that, including Jerry Jeudy, removing Patrick Surtain from the equation. That is what we would do here on the Lockdown Broncos podcast.
Okay, a counter. I like it. That's a lot. That's a lot of draft picks. And if you're the Packers, I think you have to do that. You have to do that. Because if you are moving on from Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams, you are essentially saying we are resetting for the moment at the very least. And then you get this horde of draft capital to try and restock your roster, to try and build up a roster around a quarterback who's just not going to be as good as Aaron Rodgers. And certainly not in year one, and probably not, frankly, ever. So you get Jordan Love. If that doesn't work out this year, or you don't think it's going to work out beyond that, now you have extra firsts, extra seconds, extra thirds to now trade for a guy if someone is available, to move up in the draft for someone if someone is available. 2023 is a quarterback draft class. 2022, not so much, which actually puts Green Bay in an advantageous position. Okay, not the only person that I went to with this trade request. We had Louie DiBiase from Locked On Eagles, who I pitched the 3 first-round pick, the all 2022 first-round picks. They've got 3 of them for Aaron Rodgers, and you throw in Jalen Reagor just for fun.
3 first-round draft picks and Jalen Reagor for Aaron Rodgers is a tough decision. I'm somebody that thinks until you have a franchise quarterback, you don't have anything. And it would be so tempting for the Eagles, because if they had Aaron Rodgers for 2022 and 2023, they might be the favorite in the NFC. If not, they'd be a top 3 team with Rodgers, that offensive line, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders, an improved defense. I'm a proponent of the belief that if you don't have a franchise quarterback, you really don't have anything. So to me, there's no such thing as quote-unquote selling the farm and giving up too much for a quarterback. I will say, however, that would be tough to stomach with Rodgers more than the other star quarterbacks that could be available for trade. I'd rather do that kind of deal for somebody like Russell Wilson. But man, I'm kind of in the, after watching the Rams, just screw it, go for it kind of mentality. I don't think the Eagles would make that trade. Jalen Reagor, I'm not really worried about that part. To me, he's a lost cause in Philadelphia. The 3 first-round picks would be tough to give up for a 37, 38-year-old quarterback that might only have a few years left, but he's a back-to-back MVP, and you could win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years. And to me, banners fly forever. Draft picks, they don't. So it's a tough call. I might say go for it. I'm impulsive in that way. It might not be the best move long-term, but I would do the deal.
And not to be outdone, we have this question about, well, what if the Packers want another quarterback? What if the Packers want to get something under center in this Aaron Rodgers deal? You could go to Las Vegas with the Raiders, 2 first-round picks, 1 this year, 1 next year, plus Derek Carr, who's under contract in 2022 at a very nice number. Now, he probably wants an extension as included in this deal. I would want to have it so you're not extending him, that he's got to play on that number, and then you can do an extension at the end of the year or franchise tag or whatever it is. I don't know that that's something that's going to make sense, but does it make sense from the Raiders standpoint?
I'm looking at this one. How about Aaron Rodgers for Derek Carr, a 2022 first and a 2023 first? So you're giving up 2 first-round picks and Derek Carr, who's on an expiring contract, for the rights to Aaron Rodgers, who you're going to have to give a contract extension to as well. I think every team should be in the running for Aaron Rodgers. I really do. I think that makes all the sense of the world. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I just think that this trade is just a little too rich for my blood. I think we have to go back to the negotiating table and figure out how to make it work. I don't think that any team in the league would be crazy enough to say, no, I'd rather keep Derek Carr over to Aaron Rodgers. But the price has got to be right. So for a 2022 first round pick and a 2023 first round pick, and Derek Carr, I'd have to decline. But I would also leave it open and say, look, we can negotiate. We can work on this. We can get somewhere if you want to get somewhere. I don't know how much Green Bay is really willing to want to get somewhere. Personally, I feel like I would make more effort to get the trade for Davante Adams done than the trade for Aaron Rodgers, because I think it's more reasonable, and I think that Derek Carr could win with Davante Adams. I think the Raiders could win with Derek Carr.
Okay. Those are the Aaron Rodgers trades. We're going to get to the Davante Adams trades because those are fun too, and we're going to get to those right after this. Today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. It's the best protein bar I've ever tried, and that should be enough because I have tried all of them. It's the protein bar that truly does taste like a candy bar. The Puffs, have you tried the Puffs? You are missing out if you have not tried the Puffs because the consistency, it's protein flavored marshmallow. I mean, come on. What more do you want? Marshmallow with protein in it? Covered in chocolate? They're unbelievable. They're incredible. And I hope that you will check them out. And to incentivize you to check them out, you can have a promo code. How about 15% off when you go to built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15? 15% off when you use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off on your next order at built.com. All right, we've got receiver trades. I pitched the Raiders on a trade, a first round pick, and Trey Merrick for Davante Adams. Can we make this done? Can this happen? Your boy Q from Locked On Raiders. I pitched it to him. Here's what he thinks.
I've been talking about it for quite a while that I think the Raiders need to be in win now mode. And I know that a lot of Raider Nation really wants to see Davante Adams in the silver and black. I just feel like that's a little rich for the Raiders' blood as far as all those giving up those kind of assets, not only a draft pick, but a player that is a young stud, I believe, that can be built around. So I think that, oh man, I know that there should be no player that's untradeable. I realize that. I think that I might have to pass on that. I might have to send it back to the table and say, hey, look, let's get somewhere. We can get somewhere. We can make this deal with Davante Adams on the franchise tag. I just can't give up a first and Trayvon Merrick. We have to go back and negotiate a little bit. If you're going to take Trayvon Merrick, maybe a second round pick as well. And if you're not going to take Trayvon Merrick, then I'll give up the first round pick. So I think that's how I'd address it. I would offer the first. I would offer the one for Davante Adams, the right to Davante Adams, and then you got to pay him. And if that's not good enough, well, then you got to take a second round pick and Trayvon Merrick. But I'm not giving up a one and Trayvon Merrick for the right to Davante Adams. So that's my response to the Packers trade proposal as far as it goes with Davante Adams going to the silver and black.
Okay, not the only option the Packers have when it comes to Davante Adams. What about the Chargers? They've got gobs and gobs of cap space. They've got Mike Williams, outgoing free agent, who they could just pay, but they also have Justin Herbert. They've got a roster that is ready to compete right now. They have Keenan Allen, who is a friend of Davante Adams. And you know someone like Davante would love to be in California. Nice weather. California is home for him. And you get to play with Justin Herbert. So it makes sense for Davante Adams. It makes sense for the Chargers to want him. But is the asking price, we're talking first and a second here, for Davante Adams, is that fair? I asked David Droegemeier from Locked On Chargers.
Davante Adams is one of the best receivers in the NFL. There's no question about that. 29 years old, 3 seasons of 1,300-plus receiving yards, 5 seasons of 10-plus touchdowns, and even 18 touchdowns in 2020. What an incredible season that was for him. Unfortunately, I think I have to reject that offer, but I would like to propose a counter offer to that. My counter offer is a 2022 second-round pick and a 2023 third-round pick. And the reason for that is there's no guarantee that that same magic that Davante Adams was able to formulate with Aaron Rodgers is going to carry over with Justin Herbert. I mean, that's part of what made that connection so special, is there's obviously a chemistry there that was built over time. Also, the Chargers have a lot of holes to fix on the 29th ranked defense. They can't mortgage their opportunities to be able to upgrade that unit. And also, Chargers general manager Tom Telesco just hasn't really made moves of this caliber in his history. So this allows him to continue to keep some of his draft capital while still being aggressive and trying to upgrade his team. So I think that would be a fair offer. And man, it would be really exciting to see what Davante Adams and Keenan Allen would be able to do on the same field at the same time.
All right, so that's what we have. I think what this exercise shows is the Packers have a lot of options. We're going to find out what the deal is. We're going to find out what direction they go in here, I think this week. We will find out this week. And we have to, because the tag deadline is, that window opens on the 22nd. And so then the Packers have about 2 weeks to figure out what the deal is with Davante Adams. You want to know going in, Green Bay has said that they would tag Davante Adams. The problem is you got to do a lot to tag Davante Adams. You got to do a lot of messing around with the salary cap to tag Davante Adams. And so you got to get this stuff figured out first. You got to know that Rodgers is coming back. You got to know that you're going to rework the contract, and you got to know that you can get something done with Davante Adams, or at the very least, get yourself in a position to get something done with Davante Adams. Now, they can tag him before the new league year, and you still have until the new league year starts to get under the cap. But that tag, that money all goes onto the cap right away. Now, you can still, you can negotiate that new deal, all that stuff. That's what the tag allows you to do. But you still have to be under the cap with that tag when the new league year starts. So that is something that the Packers are going to want to avoid if they can avoid it. Can they avoid it? That's a big question. That is a big question, and something that we just don't know the answer to at this point. So the sooner Aaron Rodgers makes his decision, we'll have some clarity on the future of Davante Adams, who has shown a willingness to want to return to Green Bay, irrespective of the future of Aaron Rodgers. They were reportedly close in the spring before we had a full vision of what was going on with Aaron Rodgers. Then it turned out, that they realized it was pretty bad. It seems like that's what happened from the Davante Adams side, that, there's an actual chance that Rodgers is not here anymore. When that didn't seem real in March, April, before the report came out, they were negotiating on a deal, and according to reports, they were close on one. And then they break off conversations. Now Adam Schefter reported, actually, now that Rodgers is back, Davante would be open to getting those negotiations going again, all that stuff. We don't know the truth. We don't know the real deal on that, but it is certainly something that could come together quickly because of all the work that's already been put in on it at this point. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one spot for all of your pro and college football action this season, but college football and pro football are over. Guess what else? Pro hoops, college hoops. Yes, basketball. Basketball is here. Football may be gone for a little while. Basketball is here. For all the latest odds, totals, player performance, props, BetOnline is the number one spot for all your betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports podcasts and news this season. It's not just basketball. BetOnline is your source for hockey, boxing, UFC, Olympic coverage, and more. Head to the website or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, as we finish up here, De'Vondre Campbell posted on Instagram late last night that he was in Green Bay, shot of Lambeau Field, and that caused many, including myself, to speculate that he was going to be there to sign an extension. That would be the only reason he would be there. Any of the, they're negotiating, they're trying to work something out. No, he didn't fly in to negotiate a thing. Number one, because he doesn't have to be there to negotiate anything. That's his agent's job. That's why he gets paid. And B, you fly in to sign the deal, and C, there's no negotiating on Sunday night when the deadline is midnight. We are recording this post-midnight. There are no current reports on a deal being done, but as we talked about earlier in the week, the Packers have about a little over $800,000 in void money that they can avoid having to hit the cap with an extension for De'Vondre Campbell. If you want to keep De'Vondre Campbell, and it seems like Green Bay would want to do that, it makes sense to get a deal done for a number of reasons. Number one, avoid the void. Number 2, you are going to get him on a multi-year deal, presumably, which allows you then to spread out his money over a number of years, which can lower his cap hit in 2022. This is going to raise questions about the future of Aaron Rodgers. Does this have any effect on the future of Aaron Rodgers? The answer is maybe. I mean, maybe, but maybe not. You want to do the deal anyway. If you want to sign De'Vondre Campbell, you can sign De'Vondre Campbell, right? If you're going to trade Aaron Rodgers, you're going to save a bunch of money. If you extend Aaron Rodgers, you're going to save a bunch of money. And if you view De'Vondre Campbell as an essential piece of your defense, or at the very least, as the kind of player you want to keep around on your team, then it makes sense to do a deal. You save the void money and you can spread his money out. And that's just the financial part of this. Not to mention the fact that you're getting a guy who is just all pro. A really, really good player and someone who just played really, really well for you. So, hey, congratulations. You did the financially prudent thing and you brought back a great player. Now, we're all assuming that that's what actually happened. We don't know for sure that that's what happened. As of this recording, no reporting on what the situation is. So we do need to figure that part of this out. I guess the TLDR of all of this is I don't know that this affects the way that you view Aaron Rodgers all that much. Now, that being said, I think we will find out very soon about the future of Aaron Rodgers. And so it makes sense that Green Bay is trying to get these deals done. Again, there was a deadline for this. So I don't think we should read too much into the future of Aaron Rodgers here. If what we get in the coming days is player X restructured contract, player Y added void years, Jair Alexander extension, if we start hearing that kind of stuff, that's when you start to go, okay, this is coming. Pat McAfee already teased a big guest on his show he didn't say on Tuesday. Everyone just assumed that he was doing Aaron Rodgers. I think we get the announcement on Tuesday. Now, maybe not, right? We don't know. We're all just kind of guessing here, but I think when you read the tea leaves, when you've got McAfee teasing a big guest, and when the timeline matches, Green Bay wants the time to get a new deal done with Rodgers and with Davante Adams. You need the full amount of time that you can get, or at least the most amount of time that you can get to make those things work. And so for Rodgers to say, okay, at the beginning of the window, the 22nd, which happens to be Tuesday, is the beginning of the franchise tag window of negotiation. I don't think that's a coincidence. Big guest, Tuesday, Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so maybe he shows up and says nothing. Maybe he doesn't show up. I mean, who knows? We're going to know soon. We're going to know soon. And the De'Vondre Campbell part of this, I just don't think it impacts how we view what's next with Aaron Rodgers all that much. You're getting a really good player back. That's great. This is just in a vacuum really good. And I think in context good. The only bang-on effect with Aaron Rodgers is you're showing him, hey, this guy that Broncos fans and Vikings fans and Bears fans are insisting that we're going to lose, we're not losing him. He's coming back. You wanted him. Remember the reports. The Packers and Aaron Rodgers are in lockstep on the core players that need to be retained. Presumably, this is one of those guys, and that if you're just going to play the let's read between the lines game, you're getting the, okay, so this means this for Aaron Rodgers, and he could be persuaded by this. I think that's all realistic. And look, Is this going to be the thing? No. Does it matter? Yeah, I think it does. I think it matters somewhat. It matters not 0. Does it matter more than like 5 out of 100? Probably not. Probably not. All right, you can follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. We'll be back tomorrow. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Wherever you find podcasts, you will find Locked On Packers. And anytime you want to hit us up on the Locked On Packers fan hotline, you can do that, 920-341-3775, to stay Locked On Packers.